Welcome to Bennett Steel Incorporated. My name is the Safety Training Assistant, and I'll be guiding you through your comprehensive safety orientation today. This training will take approximately 1 hour, and I ask that you give it your full attention. The information we're covering today could save your life or the life of a coworker. Bennett Steel Incorporated was established in 1980 and has built a solid reputation specializing in fabrication, steel erection, and crane rentals. Our long-standing reputation for excellence stems from our unwavering dedication to providing quality service and maximum productivity while adhering to stringent safety standards. It is Bennett Steel Incorporated's goal to achieve our work without any injuries. At Bennett Steel, safety is our top priority. We must work together to eliminate accidents. Your continued productivity and craftsmanship depend on your safety and health. You need to work as hard at accident prevention as you do at your craft. Safe work behavior is a required part of your job description. You are the one who knows if you are not using safety gear or taking unnecessary chances to get your work done. You do have time to plan the best way to get the job done safely. You are responsible for your safety and for the safety of those working around you, just as they are responsible for their safety and the safety of all employees around them. Bennett Steel Incorporated wants each employee to leave the worksite each day, injury-free. All employees are required to follow all local, state, and federal safety regulations. You are also required to follow any additional safety requirements that are part of Bennett Steel Incorporated policy that go beyond local, state, and federal safety regulations. Lack of knowledge of safety regulations and safe procedures is not an excuse to violate those regulations or requirements. When in doubt as to safety, ask before you act. Proper information and training will be provided. Now from the owner. What is Bennett Steel?
My name is David R. Bennett. If anybody knows me, calls me Dave. I've been in the ironworking business. I started to work when I was 12 years old, doing boats on a job in Bartlesville, Oklahoma. Bennett Steel is now in its 45th year. My dad was in business in Tulsa back in the 60s and 70s. And I've got to know quite a few people in that time. The company started out as steel design and service, and we did work up at Liberty Glass here in Spalpa. How I got started in the business, I was traveling around the United States building furnaces for a company out of Pennsylvania. Met a guy in Warner Robins, Georgia, became friends. He was the plant manager. But lo and behold, about 4 years later, he became the plant manager at Liberty Glass. He calls me, and I was in Warner Robins working, and he wanted me to come by and see him. They was getting ready to do a major construction job up there. Of course, I was just working by the hour then, and which I told him, I said, I got 3 kids at home, or 2 kids at home at that time, and a pregnant wife, and I didn't have money to start a business. Liberty Glass actually advanced me enough money to get started. I worked it off for them. But then over the years, my experience with working for my dad brought me around to go out and meet some people we had worked for before while he was in business, and started bidding a few jobs off and on, and started getting a little more work, and bought my first crane about 1982, and from there we just kept getting bigger and getting bigger cranes and doing more work, and I'm a very fortunate man. I'm very fortunate. I know you have to put a little effort into it, but I've been very, very fortunate.
Now let's begin with our first critical safety topic. Cranes are among the most powerful and essential pieces of equipment we use at Bennett Steel. They allow us to lift and position massive loads that would be impossible to move by any other means. They are also among the most dangerous. Crane incidents can result in multiple fatalities and catastrophic property damage. Contact with power lines, load drops, tip-overs, structural failures, and being struck by the load or boom are all serious hazards. No employee may operate any crane unless they have had training on its safe operation and are certified to operate that type and capacity of crane. This is not just a BSI requirement. It is federal law under OSHA's Cranes and Derricks and Construction Standard. Crane operators must be certified by an accredited testing organization and must be evaluated by the employer on the specific type of crane they will operate. Before any crane operation, a competent person must conduct a thorough inspection of the crane. This includes checking all structural components: wire rope, hooks, load lines, hydraulic and pneumatic systems, electrical systems, safety devices, and operating controls. Any deficiency that could affect safe operation must be corrected before the crane is used. The crane must be set up on ground that is firm, level, and capable of supporting the crane and the load. Soft soil, slopes, underground voids, and underground utilities can all compromise the stability of the crane. Outriggers must be fully extended and properly set on mats or pads that distribute the load. Cranes must be level within the manufacturer's specifications. A lift plan must be developed for every crane operation. The lift plan identifies the load weight, the lift radius, the crane configuration, the load path, the rigging to be used, any hazards such as power lines or obstructions, and the personnel involved. Complex or critical lifts require a more detailed lift plan and may require engineering review. All crane operations must stay within the crane's load chart. The load chart specifies the maximum load the crane can lift at various boom lengths, boom angles, and radii. The weight of rigging, below the hook devices, and any other attachments must be included in the load weight. Exceeding the load chart can cause the crane to tip over or the boom to fail. Power lines are one of the deadliest hazards in crane operations. You must maintain at least 20 feet of clearance from power lines rated up to 350 kilovolts and more for higher voltages, unless the lines have been de-energized and grounded by the utility company. Even if you think you have clearance, boom deflection, wind, and movement can bring the crane or load into contact with the line. Assume all power lines are energized and deadly. If you must work near power lines, have them de-energized or take extreme precautions, including using a dedicated spotter and possibly a proximity alarm. All rigging must be inspected before each use. Wire rope slings, synthetic slings, chains, shackles, hooks, and other rigging hardware must be free from damage, wear, and defects. Rigging must be properly rated for the load. The angle of the sling affects its capacity. Sling angles less than 30 degrees from horizontal drastically reduce capacity and should be avoided. Only qualified riggers may attach loads to the crane. Riggers must know how to select appropriate rigging, calculate sling angles and capacities, identify the load's center of gravity, and attach the load securely. Apprentices may rig under the direct supervision of a qualified rigger. Before the load is lifted, a pre-lift meeting should be conducted with the operator, the rigger, the signal person, and any other personnel involved in the lift. Discuss the lift plan, confirm roles and responsibilities, review hand signals or radio communications, and address any questions or concerns. The signal person is critical to safe crane operations. The signal person is the only person who gives signals to the operator, unless an emergency stop signal is given by anyone. The signal person must have a clear view of the load and the operator, or must use radio communication. Signal persons must be qualified and must know the standard hand signals. Only qualified signalmen may give signals to crane operators. Apprentices may signal under the direct supervision of a qualified signalman. When the load is lifted, it should be raised slowly and smoothly. Test the rigging by lifting the load just a few inches, stopping and verifying that the load is balanced and secure. If everything looks good, continue the lift. The load should be kept low during travel, just high enough to clear obstructions. Never swing the load over people. Never allow anyone to walk or work under a suspended load. Taglines should be used to control the load and prevent it from spinning or swinging. Never allow personnel to ride the load or the hook. The crane operator must not engage in any other activities while operating the crane. No cell phone use, no distractions. The operator's full attention must be on the crane and the lift. Weather conditions can significantly impact crane safety. Wind can cause loads to swing and can reduce crane capacity. Know the wind speed limits for the crane you are operating. If winds exceed those limits, shut down crane operations. Rain, ice, and snow can reduce visibility and make surfaces slippery. Adjust operations accordingly or shut down if conditions are unsafe. At the end of the workday or when the crane will be unattended, the load line must be raised, the hook secured, and the crane positioned so that it cannot weather vane into an obstruction or power line. Wire rope slings that have been removed from rigging service may be used for plumb cable purposes. They shall be painted yellow to identify that they are not suitable for rigging. Never use a yellow painted cable for rigging a load. The area around and near where crane activities are being conducted shall be barricaded to protect against unauthorized entry. Use red rope and signage. Other trades shall be instructed to contact the responsible person prior to accessing the area. Unauthorized personnel shall be removed from the area until access is granted by the superintendent, foreman, or safety personnel. Cranes are powerful, complex machines that require skill, training, and constant vigilance. There is no room for error. Follow all procedures, communicate clearly, and never take a chance. Lives depend on it. Before we continue, I want to take a few minutes to discuss Bennett Steel's drug and alcohol policy and our testing procedures. This is an extremely important part of working safely, and it's critical that you understand our requirements and your responsibilities. Drug testing will either be processed through DISA Global Solution or in-house testing that is completed by a third-party company. And medical marijuana cards are not accepted. Bennett Steel utilizes DISA Global Solutions for Bennett Steel required drug and alcohol testing, including some hiring processes and driver qualification files. DISA Global Solutions is a nationally recognized third-party administrator that specializes in drug and alcohol testing program management and compliance services. They handle the coordination, documentation, and record-keeping for our testing program to ensure we remain in full compliance with all federal and state regulations. When you were hired, you underwent pre-employment drug screening. This is a requirement for all new employees at Bennett Steel. The test was processed through DISA Global Solutions, and the results are maintained in a secure, confidential database. If your position requires you to operate commercial motor vehicles, or if you are subject to Department of Transportation regulations, your driver qualification file is also maintained through DISA Global Solutions. This file contains your driving record, your medical examiner's certificate, your drug and alcohol testing records, and other required documentation. Bennett Steel maintains a comprehensive drug-free workplace policy. This policy covers all employees, all work sites, all company vehicles, and all company equipment. The use, possession, sale, or distribution of illegal drugs or alcohol while on company time, on company property, or in company vehicles is strictly prohibited. Reporting to work under the influence of drugs or alcohol is grounds for immediate termination. This is not just a company policy, it is a matter of safety. Impairment on a construction site can lead to serious injury or death, not just for the impaired individual, but for everyone around them. Our drug and alcohol testing program includes several types of tests. Pre-employment testing, as I mentioned, is required for all new hires. Random testing is conducted throughout the year on a percentage of our workforce, selected by a computer algorithm managed by DISA Global Solutions. If you are selected for a random test, you will be notified and you must report for testing immediately. Post-accident testing is required anytime an employee is involved in a workplace accident that results in injury requiring medical treatment beyond first aid, or that results in property damage. Reasonable suspicion testing may be conducted if a supervisor has reasonable belief, based on specific observations and documented facts, that an employee may be under the influence. Return-to-duty testing and follow-up testing are required for any employee who has violated the drug and alcohol policy and has been allowed to return to work after completing a substance abuse program. All testing is conducted at certified laboratories and collection sites. You will be notified where to report for testing, and you must bring valid identification. The collection process is professional, confidential, and follow strict chain of custody procedures to ensure the integrity of the sample. If you test positive for drugs or alcohol, there are serious consequences. CDL driver requirements and drug screening policy. If you are a CDL driver, there are several important requirements you need to be aware of before operating any FMCSA-regulated vehicle. First, let's talk about drug screening. If you fail a drug screening at any point, you will immediately lose your CDL license. This is not a temporary suspension. You will be unable to drive until you have fully completed all required steps under the Department of Transportation's Return to Duty process. This process includes evaluation by a substance abuse professional, completion of any recommended treatment or education program, and passing a return to duty drug test, followed by a period of unannounced follow-up testing. This process can be lengthy, so it is critical that all CDL drivers take drug screening requirements seriously. In addition to drug screening compliance, all CDL drivers are required to meet several other standards before getting behind the wheel of any FMCSA-regulated vehicle. You must have a clean driving record, meaning no disqualifying violations or patterns of unsafe driving behavior. You must also have a current and valid DOT physical on file. This medical examination ensures that you are physically fit to safely operate a commercial vehicle, and it must be kept up to date at all times. You will also be required to complete a driver vehicle inspection report, known as a DVIR, each time you operate a vehicle. This is a federally required pre- and post-trip inspection that documents the condition of the vehicle and ensures it is safe to drive. Skipping or improperly completing a DVIR is a serious violation and will not be tolerated. Finally, we use Samsara as our fleet management and safety platform. Samsara allows us to monitor vehicle performance, driver behavior, and overall safety compliance in real time. As a CDL driver, you will be expected to be familiar with and compliant with all monitoring and reporting functions within the Samsara system. These requirements exist to protect you, your fellow workers, and everyone else on the road. If you have any questions about any of these requirements, please speak with your supervisor before operating any vehicle. It is extremely important that you understand your rights and responsibilities under our drug and alcohol policy. You have the right to request a copy of Bennett Steele's complete drug and alcohol policy at any time. This policy document outlines in detail what substances are tested for, what the testing procedures are, what the consequences of policy violations are, and what your rights are throughout the process. You can request a copy from your supervisor, from the safety department, or from the human resources department. We strongly encourage you to obtain a copy, read it thoroughly, and ask questions if anything is unclear. If you are taking prescription medication or over-the-counter medication that may affect your ability to work safely or that may cause a positive drug test result, you should inform your supervisor and provide documentation from your physician. We will work with you to accommodate medical needs while ensuring worksite safety. However, if your medication impairs your ability to perform safety-sensitive functions, you may not be permitted to work until the medication is no longer affecting you or until your physician clears you for duty. Additionally, if you have concerns about substance abuse, whether your own or a coworker's, we encourage you to speak up. Confidential assistance may be available through our employee assistance resources. We would much rather help someone get the help they need than have a tragedy occur on one of our job sites. Remember, maintaining a drug-free workplace is not just about compliance with regulations. It is about ensuring that every person on our job site is alert, focused, and capable of working safely. We all depend on each other. When you show up to work, your coworkers are trusting that you are fit for duty. When you operate a crane, a forklift, or any piece of equipment, lives are in your hands. When you are working at heights or around heavy materials, split-second decisions matter. Impairment has no place in our industry. If you have any questions about the drug and alcohol policy, about DISA Global Solutions, about testing procedures, or about any aspect of our program, please ask your supervisor or contact the safety department. This is your workplace, your career, and your safety. Make sure you understand the rules and the reasons behind them. Forklifts, also called powered industrial trucks, are used extensively on our job sites to move materials and equipment. They are powerful machines that can lift thousands of pounds and travel at significant speeds. They are also involved in a high number of serious injuries and fatalities in the workplace every year. Crush injuries, tip-overs, falls, and struck-by incidents are all common forklift hazards. No employee may operate a forklift unless they have had training on its safe operation and are certified to operate that type of forklift. OSHA requires forklift operators to be trained and evaluated on the specific type of forklift they will operate. Untrained employees may operate forklifts under the direct supervision of a qualified operator for training purposes only. Before you operate a forklift, conduct a pre-operation inspection. This must be done every day at the start of every shift. Check the tires for damage and proper inflation. Check the forks for cracks or bends. Check the overhead guard and load backrest. Test the brakes, steering, horn, lights, and backup alarm. Check fluid levels. Check the hydraulic system for leaks. If the forklift is propane-powered, check the tank and connections. If it's battery-powered, check the battery charge and connections. If you find any defects, tag the forklift out of service and report it immediately. Always wear your seatbelt when operating a forklift. And a tip over. The seatbelt keeps you in the protected area under the overhead guard. Many forklift fatalities occur when operators try to jump from a tipping forklift and are crushed by the overhead guard or the forklift itself. If the forklift begins to tip, stay in the seat, brace yourself, and lean away from the direction of the tip. Know the capacity of the forklift you are operating. The load capacity is listed on the data plate and is based on the load center, typically 24 inches from the face of the forks. If your load center of gravity is farther out, the capacity is reduced. Never exceed the rated capacity. Overloading can cause the forklift to tip forward. When picking up a load, approach it squarely. Position the forks as wide as possible under the load. Insert the forks fully under the load. Tilt the mast back slightly to stabilize the load. Then lift the load just high enough to clear the ground, typically 4 to 6 inches. Carrying a load too high raises the center of gravity and makes the forklift unstable. Travel with the load low and tilted back. Look in the direction of travel. If the load obstructs your view, travel in reverse. Use your horn at intersections and when approaching blind corners or doorways. When traveling on a grade or ramp, keep the load on the uphill side. If you're going uphill, drive forward with the load in front. If you're going downhill, drive in reverse with the load in front. This keeps the load stable and prevents the forklift from tipping. Never allow passengers on the forklift unless it is equipped with a seat for a passenger. Never allow anyone to stand or walk under elevated forks, even if the forks are empty. A hydraulic failure or operator error could cause the forks to drop suddenly. When setting a load down, approach the placement area squarely, level the forks, lower the load gently, tilt the forks forward slightly to release the load, then back the forklift away before lowering the forks fully. When you are finished operating the forklift, park it in a designated area. Lower the forks fully to the ground, put the controls in neutral, set the parking brake. Turn off the engine and remove the key. If you park on an incline, chock the wheels. Be aware of your surroundings at all times. Watch for pedestrians, other equipment, low overhead clearances, floor obstructions, and uneven surfaces. Bridges, dockboards, and ramps must be strong enough to support the combined weight of the forklift and the load. Never drive a forklift up to someone standing in front of a fixed object. The person could be crushed between the forklift and the object. Forklifts can create carbon monoxide if they are internal combustion powered. Never operate a gas, diesel, or propane forklift in an enclosed area without adequate ventilation. Carbon monoxide is odorless and can cause death. Refuel or recharge forklifts in designated areas only. When refueling, turn off the engine. When changing propane tanks, do so in a well-ventilated area, away from ignition sources. When charging batteries, do so in a designated charging area with proper ventilation, eye wash, and fire extinguishing equipment. Do not use your forklift for purposes other than lifting and transporting materials. Do not use the forks to push loads. Do not use the forklift to raise personnel unless it is equipped with a properly designed and secured work platform. The area where forklifts are operating should be barricaded to protect pedestrians. Use signage, cones, or barriers to keep unauthorized personnel away from the travel path and loading areas. Forklifts are powerful and efficient, but they are also dangerous when operated improperly. Respect the machine, follow all operating procedures, and stay alert. Your life and the lives of those around you depend on it.
My name is Matt Bennett, president of Bennett Steel. I've been around involved with the company for over a couple decades now. Started out as a kid on the slabs, putting bolts together for the guys. Then ended up getting into some shop experiences, fitting, welding. After that, got into some iron working for a little bit, estimating, project management. I mean, the people are everything. I mean, our facilities, our equipment, they don't ultimately build the steel, the people do. Without them, we're not a company. The company succeeds because the people show up and do their work, and that's what ultimately makes us successful. A lot of my job is behind the scenes, supporting the team, making some tough decisions, solving problems so others can be successful. The biggest vision is also to be known for more than just the projects we do. I mean, our integrity matters, our safety culture. I mean, is everybody going home safely every day? And ultimately the way we treat people. But one that kind of really sticks out in my mind is a building over on 81st and Mingo. It's not our biggest building we've ever done, but it is a building that was estimated by myself, project management by myself, and I put a lot of time and energy to make sure that project went up well. I mean, work ethic for employees is very critical. I mean, work ethic drives quality, safety, and trust. I mean, when people take ownership of their work, I mean, everything else around you improves. Really, a good day is a safe day. Everybody goes home safe. Everybody goes home with all their fingers and toes and all their appendages. But really, a good day is when problems are solved, progress is made, and people and the workers can go home proud of what they've done, what they accomplished that day. I mean, safety makes all the difference. There's nothing we do as a company that's more important than our employees' safety. None of our projects are worth it if someone goes home injured. There's nothing more important than all the employees going home safe. I mean, it goes from the office personnel to maybe slipping and falling on ice getting in here, or the guys walking the beams falling off. I mean, it doesn't matter. I care for each and every one of them. So there's different safety factors that everybody has to watch out for, but more so in the field and in the shops than obviously in the office. But we still have safety measures that we do here internally that need to be complied with.
I'm J.C. Bacon, the safety director. I've been with Bennett Steel for going on 16 years, and I've been in the safety role for approximately 12. Of that, I've spent 5 years as the director, other times just in different departments. So mainly with fabrication and then with cranes for a long period of time, and now I'm over all the divisions that include the grading company, Bennett Steel Fabrication, Bennett Steel Inc., your ironworkers, your operators, and all of our shop laborers. Most of the time you'll find me, if I'm in the shop, I'm with the guys walking around, or if I'm out in the field, I'm doing a job audit, or could be there for an OSHA compliance inspection, or I'm just a phone call away, either way. I don't think people realize with our role that we aren't just here to enforce rules, we're also problem solvers. We're here to help you and make your job easier and safer, and so you do get home to your family every day. Emphasizing safety on all the job sites is critical. That's how we get our reputation. Production and safety go hand in hand, so if you don't emphasize on the safety portion of it, then it shows less in production. When we get new hires in, I like to see them encouraged, wanting to get in and learn our safety culture, learning about what training is required to get the job done safely, and how they can help in promoting safety within the company. So a safe day in the fabrication shop is seeing everybody do their overhead crane inspections, checking the rigging to make sure that the throat latches are there properly. There's a lot of inspections that gotta be done on a day-to-day basis. Your overhead cranes, your rigging, your forklifts, checking your machines for your guards. In the field, it's a little bit different. There's a lot bigger pieces of equipment, such as the crane operators. They have to inspect their cranes, and the iron workers inspect the rigging because they're the ones that's shaking out the material. PPE, there is a difference on that because, of course, they've all got to have their hard hats, and they also got to inspect all their fall protection. So any aspect of the job that they use, they got to check everything to make sure it's safe to use so that they can go home every day. Safety systems are important because they play a critical role in preventing accidents from happening. The employees following them, it takes planning, such as doing a proper JHA, job hazard analysis. You plan your work according to the step to prevent the hazards, and that's what connects to the controls. I care about safety because whenever I first started my career path, I was actually going into nursing school, and I would see a lot of injured workers come through the ER. So it kind of led to a passion that, maybe construction might be for me. I mean, my dad was a union crane operator for probably 10 years at the point, and I just didn't ever want to see anybody get hurt. I mean, some of these injuries can cause fatalities, and if there is one thing that I can do to help prevent that from happening, I'm going to figure it out. Training is a critical aspect to having a safe company. Whenever you get audited by the OSHA compliance officer, the first thing that they're going to ask you is for those employee training records. And if you can't provide it, then it's negligence on the company's part. Not only that, you want to make sure that they're trained to operate the equipment properly so they can not get hurt, or that they've read the manual to eliminate the risks and know the hazards it is with whatever they're dealing with. Participation goes a long way with employees. We can provide them all the training, but until they put the training to use, it isn't effective. Training on safety systems here can be a variety of things. It can be hands-on, on the computer. We could set up a mock-up outside and have hands-on training and everybody gets involved. Or it could be a test, a quiz. It just depends on what fits for the type of training that's being conducted. Unsafe environments can lead to accidents happening, and sometimes things you don't even expect, such as an overflowing trash can can cause a fire and somebody can get burned. The repercussions to an unsafe field site could be slips, trips, and falls, housekeeping issues, weather conditions, be high winds, lightning, tornadoes, snow. Those can all play a big hazard on job sites. A safe day for a crane operator looks like they start out by starting their equipment up and doing their daily inspection. They have a 27-point inspection that they must complete. Then they got to make sure the rigger is certified, that their credentials are up to date, inspecting all of their rigging, making sure the fire extinguisher is completed every 30 days. And then it's to get with the customer and find out what they're going to be picking for the day, or with the foreman from the Bennett crew. Getting the size, the weights, ensuring that they have all the proper things in line to get set up, anywhere from ground conditions to the size of the rigging that they may need, and a certified signal rigger.
I'm John Martin. I've been in the operating engineers for 18 years. Been safety for the last almost 6 years now. A lot of behind the scenes work, keeping up with certifications, checking files, checking daily inspections, make sure they're getting in, uploading DOT physicals into where they need to go, lift plans when needed, sending off for orientations, making sure that people are orientated on the jobs that are upcoming. So there's a lot of behind the scenes work that most people don't realize. We all want to go home, so I want everybody to go home with all their digits, all their body parts. We live in an unforgiving world, especially in the crane world, that when things go wrong, they go wrong fast, and it's very unforgiving. Do the right thing, PPE, hard hats, the basics. You get the basics right, the bigger things come easy. But if you're not going to get the small things right, then We're gonna struggle with the larger things coming up. I guess if we rolled up on a job, new customer, everybody has their hard hats on, everybody's wearing gloves, everybody's wearing their safety glasses. Fundamentals, right? Crane goes together the same way. It don't matter which crane it is, from a little 20-ton all the way up to a 550. You gotta get your outriggers down, you gotta get your Dyke mats down. But it all starts off with the fundamental safeties, right? PPE, Dyke mats underneath the crane, make sure the outriggers are pinned off properly. Put on your counterweights. If need be, certain job sites require you to, little different aspect, make sure you know beforehand what's expected of you on that job site, perform it in due diligence, the end result, making the safe pick. Hands and feet out of the way, constant communication between the operator and the signal person and the rigger, and everybody come home safe with no issues. The fundamentals, then the rest comes pretty much easy. So our safety systems that are in place, PPE, hard hats, that's all the first level of protection. The second level of protection is the red rope around cranes, that not anybody can get in our swing radius because they're unfamiliar with the operations of a crane. So we have those in place to protect others. So yes, the safety system that we have here at Bennett Steel is on point. We've been on some of these job sites multiple times, so we know what's expected of us. Those job sites don't change. Therefore, if you go there, you know what's expected. When you don't perform or don't do what is expected, that's when we have trouble. So on new sites, it might be a little bit different. That's in the back leg work between the salesman and the crane superintendent to understand what they're requiring from us. Therefore, we can implement it when they go out on that new job site. So if it's different from what we're used to, then we do have to abide by their rules and regulations. And as with anything that I've said in the past, for a lot of our older orientation guys, is that they can meet or exceed the OSHA standards. If they exceed them, then we do have to go by their rules. And it's not because it's rules, but it's they're the customer, and we've got to perform on what they expect. And if they expect more, then we will do more, because that's what is required of us. Get a lot of our training from the operating engineers, Local 627. So they teach the fundamentals: rigging, signal person, OSHA 10, how to get your CDL, DOT regulations. Here, we expand further upon what they've already taught: injury to self, injury to others. And that's why we make safety a priority here, so that we don't have those issues.
Bennett Steel Weather Safety Policy. At Bennett Steel Incorporated, the safety of our employees during severe weather is a top priority. Foremen and superintendents are responsible for continuously monitoring weather conditions and ensuring that all employees are protected during any severe weather event. Staying ahead of the storm. The first line of defense is awareness. We strongly recommend that all employees and supervisors download the WeatherBug app on their iPhone or iPad. This app includes a feature called the Spark, which gives you a more accurate real-time distance of lightning activity in your area. You can contact your department's safety manager for more information on how to use the app. In addition to the app, keep a close eye on radar, current weather warnings for your location, and watch for rapidly building or darkening clouds. The goal is simple: stay alert, stay ahead of the storm, and make sure all materials are secured before severe weather arrives. The lightning distance rule. If lightning is determined to be within 10 miles of your location, all outdoor work must be suspended immediately, and every employee must take shelter. If you notice lightning before your foreman or superintendent is aware of it, contact them right away so the appropriate safety precautions can be taken. Remember, if you can hear thunder, lightning is already close enough to strike you. Count the seconds between a lightning flash and the thunder you hear. Each second represents roughly 1 mile of distance. Don't wait until the storm is on top of you. Act early. Where to take shelter. During a thunderstorm, no place outside is truly safe. Your best option is to immediately stop what you're doing and seek shelter in a substantial, enclosed building. If no building is available, a BSI company truck can be used as a last resort. Once inside, stay away from windows and anything that can conduct electricity. Indoor work precautions. Even for indoor activities, all work should stop until the storm has fully moved out of the area for at least 30 minutes or longer. Unless the building is properly grounded and fully enclosed, the superintendent or foreman will make the final call on when it is safe to resume work. Equipment and vehicles during a storm. During any storm, stay off of and away from anything tall or elevated. This includes rooftops, scaffolding, utility poles, ladders, trees, and large equipment such as bulldozers, cranes, backhoes, track loaders, and carts. Do not touch any materials or surfaces that can conduct electricity, including metal scaffolding, metal equipment, utility lines, water pipes, or plumbing. If you are near any area containing explosives or flammable materials, such as fuel cans, gas cylinders, or fuel tanks, leave that area immediately. Snow and ice conditions. Cold weather brings its own serious set of hazards. If the temperature is at or below 10 degrees Fahrenheit, and it is not forecast to rise above 21 degrees, we will not be working outdoors. Wind chill and precipitation, including snow, ice, and sleet, will also be factored into that decision, as these conditions can make an already dangerous situation significantly worse. Before any cold weather workday, foremen should check road conditions to and from the job site. If there are frozen surfaces or slip hazards present, these must be addressed on a case-by-case basis with the safety director and field operations manager. Additionally, check for snow and ice buildup on decking, walkways, and crane booms, as these create serious struck-by hazards. Foreman, please take the time each afternoon to assess the next day's forecast. Do not put your employees on the road or on a job site if conditions are not safe. If the temperature is above 21 degrees, but still below freezing, there are additional steps to follow. Check all surfaces for hazardous ice and request ice melt if needed. We have had injuries in the past from this exact scenario, so please take it seriously. Make sure everyone has the proper PPE to stay warm and allow for frequent breaks in a warm area. Employees should also be drinking plenty of water, even in cold weather, as dehydration is still a risk. Watch closely for signs of cold stress in yourself and your fellow workers. These signs include redness of the skin, tingling, pain, numbness, swelling, leg cramps, blisters, slurred speech, and fatigue. If any of these symptoms are observed, they must be reported immediately. Ultimately, it is the responsibility of every foreman to assess their job site conditions and communicate directly with the safety director and field operations manager if temperatures or site conditions are too dangerous to work safely. All weather-related communications will also be shared through the company WhatsApp channel, so make sure you are connected and checking for updates. Stay safe, stay aware, and never hesitate to speak up when conditions put people at risk. During assembly and disassembly of a crane, fall protection is required over 6 feet. Fall protection is not just a regulation. It is a life-saving system that stands between you and serious injury or death. Falls are the leading cause of death in the construction industry, accounting for more than 1/3 of all construction fatalities. At BSI, we take fall protection extremely seriously. As I mentioned, BSI requires all employees to use fall arrest equipment properly when working at elevations 6 feet or more above a lower level. If you are not tied off or are improperly tied off, you will be immediately terminated. This is non-negotiable. The anchorage, the body harness, and the connector, which is typically a lanyard or a self-retracting lifeline. Your anchorage point must be capable of supporting at least 5,000 pounds per person attached, or it must be designed, installed, and used under the supervision of a qualified person as part of a complete fall arrest system that maintains a safety factor of at least 2. The anchorage should be independent of the platform or surface you are working on. Never assume a point is adequate for anchorage without verification. Your full body harness must fit properly. A harness that is too loose or too tight can fail to arrest your fall properly and can cause serious injury even if it stops your fall. The dorsal D-ring, that's the D-ring on your back between your shoulder blades, should be positioned correctly. This is where your lanyard or self-retracting lifeline will connect. Make sure all straps are properly adjusted and that buckles are secure. Your connector, whether it's a lanyard, a self-retracting lifeline, or another approved device, must be attached to your harness and to your anchorage point at all times when you are 6 feet or more above a lower level. Self-retracting lifelines, or SRLs, are excellent because they allow you freedom of movement while automatically locking in the event of a fall. Inspect your fall protection equipment before every use. Look for cuts, tears, abrasions, mold, mildew, or any deterioration in your harness webbing. Check that all metal components are free from cracks, sharp edges, or corrosion. Check that D-rings move freely and that buckles function properly. If you find any damage or defect, take that equipment out of service immediately and report it to your supervisor. Do not attempt to repair fall protection equipment yourself. You are required to inspect any fall protection before use and to report and remove any defective equipment from service. If equipment is defective, tag it as unusable and give it to your supervisor so it can be properly disposed of and not accidentally put back into service. Hazard communication, often called HAZCOM or Right to Know, is an OSHA standard designed to ensure that you are informed about the chemical hazards you may encounter on the job site and how to protect yourself from those hazards. Chemicals can cause burns, poisoning, fires, explosions, and long-term health effects, such as cancer. You have a right to know what chemicals you are working with and how to use them safely. Bennett Steel maintains safety data sheets, or SDSs, in several locations for review and use on our job sites. Safety data sheets provide detailed information about each chemical, including its hazards, safe handling procedures, first aid measures, and emergency response information. SDSs are always available in hard copy format, either in the supervisor's vehicle or in their office or Connects. They are also available in digital format on the supervisor's iPad. Depending on the size of the job, the general contractor will have either a digital or hard copy available in their office as well. If a chemical is introduced to the job site that is not on the list, the supervisor has internet access through their iPad or phone to look it up and obtain the SDS. Every chemical container on the job site must be labeled with the identity of the chemical and the appropriate hazard warnings. Do not use chemicals from unlabeled containers. If a label is missing or damaged, notify your supervisor immediately. Before you use any chemical product, read the label and review the SDS. The SDS is organized into 16 sections that provide comprehensive information. Section 1 identifies the chemical and the manufacturer. Section 2 lists the hazards, including health hazards, physical hazards such as flammability, and environmental hazards. Section 3 lists the ingredients. Section 4 provides first aid measures. Section 5 provides firefighting measures. Section 6 covers accidental release measures, what to do if the chemical spills. Section 7 covers handling and storage. Section 8 identifies exposure controls and personal protective equipment you need to use. Section 9 provides physical and chemical properties. Section 10 covers stability and reactivity, whether the chemical can explode or react dangerously with other substances. Section 11 provides toxicological information, health effects from exposure. Section 12 covers ecological information. Section 13 covers disposal considerations. Section 14 covers transport information. Pay particular attention to Section 8, which tells you what personal protective equipment you need. Some chemicals require special gloves, respirators, goggles, or protective clothing beyond your standard PPE. If you will be using a chemical regularly, you must receive training on the specific hazards of that chemical and the protective measures you need to take. Do not assume that because you have used a similar product before, you know how to use this one safely. Different products have different formulations and different hazards. Common chemicals you may encounter on our job sites include solvents, paints, adhesives, sealants, cutting oils, degreasers, concrete additives, and fuels. Even common products like WD-40, diesel fuel, and spray paint have hazards and require proper handling. Some chemicals can react dangerously with each other. Never mix chemicals unless the SDS or product instructions specifically say it is safe to do so. Mixing incompatible chemicals can cause fires, explosions, or toxic gas releases. Store chemicals in their original containers with the labels intact. If you spill a chemical, follow the procedures in Section 6 of the SDS. Small spills of non-hazardous materials can usually be cleaned up with absorbent materials and disposed of properly. Larger spills or spills of highly hazardous materials may require evacuation and professional cleanup. Know the procedures before you start using the chemical. If you are exposed to a chemical through skin contact, inhalation, or ingestion, follow the first aid measures in Section 4 of the SDS and seek medical attention immediately. Bring the SDS or the product label with you to the medical facility so they know exactly what you were exposed to. Wear the appropriate PPE for the chemicals you are using. If a respirator is required, you must be fit tested, medically cleared, and trained on its use before you use it. If chemical-resistant gloves are required, make sure you are using the right type of glove for the chemical. Different chemicals require different glove materials. Wash your hands and any exposed skin after handling chemicals, even if you were wearing gloves. Do not eat, drink, or smoke while handling chemicals or until you have washed thoroughly. Dispose of empty chemical containers and waste materials according to the SDS and local regulations. Do not pour chemicals down drains or onto the ground. If you have questions about a chemical or if you need an SDS, ask your supervisor. Your right to know is protected by law, and we are required to provide you with this information. Understanding chemical hazards and how to protect yourself is essential. Do not take chemicals lightly. Respect them, use them properly, and protect yourself and others. Housekeeping might not sound like the most exciting topic in a safety orientation, but poor housekeeping is one of the leading causes of injuries on construction sites. Slips, trips, falls, struck-by incidents, cuts, and fires are all directly linked to poor housekeeping. A clean, organized job site is a safer and more productive job site. Good housekeeping starts with everyone. It is not just the laborer's job or the cleanup crew's job. Every employee is responsible for keeping their work area clean and organized. As you work, clean up as you go. Don't wait until the end of the day or the end of the job to pick up scraps, debris, and tools. Keep walkways, stairways, and access routes clear at all times. Do not store materials, tools, or equipment in areas where people need to walk. Tripping hazards are one of the most common causes of injuries, and they are entirely preventable. Material storage must be orderly and stable. Stack materials neatly and securely. Do not create unstable piles that could fall over. Store materials away from edges of platforms, roofs, and scaffolding where they could fall and strike someone below. Secure materials against wind. Tools and equipment should be returned to their proper storage location when not in use. Do not leave tools lying around where they can be tripped over or where they can fall from elevation. Scrap metal, cutoffs, wire, banding, and other debris should be collected regularly and placed in designated scrap bins or dumpsters. Protruding nails and sharp edges should be removed or bent over. Steel banding is particularly dangerous. it can snap back and cause serious lacerations. Spills of oil, grease, water, or other liquids should be cleaned up immediately. Slippery surfaces cause falls. Use absorbent materials for oil and grease spills and dispose of them properly. Combustible debris such as wood scraps, cardboard, and packing materials should be removed from the work area regularly to reduce fire hazard. Do not allow these materials to accumulate near welding or cutting operations or near electrical panels. Electrical cords should be routed overhead or possible or secured to prevent tripping hazards. Damaged cords should be taken out of service immediately. Hoses, air lines, and welding leads should be coiled and stored properly when not in use. Do not leave them stretched across walkways. Dust and debris should be cleaned up regularly, especially in enclosed areas. Accumulated dust can be a fire or explosion hazard and can also create respiratory issues. At the end of each shift or task, take a few minutes to clean up your work area. Put tools away, collect debris, and leave the area safe for the next crew. Supervisors and foremen should conduct regular housekeeping inspections and address deficiencies immediately. Housekeeping should be a topic in toolbox talks and safety meetings. A clean job site is a safe job site. It shows professionalism and pride in your work. It protects you and everyone around you. Make housekeeping a habit, not an afterthought. Now let's talk about the rules that govern our work. All employees are required to follow all local, state, and federal safety regulations without exception. But our commitment to safety doesn't stop at meeting the legal minimum. You are also required to follow any additional safety requirements specific to your job site that are part of BSI policy, the general contractor's requirements, the construction manager's rules, or the owner's policies that go beyond local, state, and federal safety regulations. Lack of knowledge of safety regulations and safe procedures is never an excuse to violate those regulations or requirements. If you don't know, you need to find out before you act. When in doubt about safety, ask before you act. It's that simple. Proper information and training will be provided to you, but you need to speak up when you have questions. Here's something critical that empowers every single person on our work sites. Everyone has stop work authority. It doesn't matter if you started yesterday or you've been with us for 20 years. If you see something unsafe, you have the authority and the responsibility to stop work immediately. You will never be disciplined for stopping work to report and abate something you feel is unsafe. Before you can even begin work with Bennett Steel, you must meet our minimum pre-employment safety training requirements. These are non-negotiable. You must have completed OSHA 10 training within the last 5 years, or an OSHA 30 within the last 5 years. You must also have completed Subpart R training within the last 5 years. For those of you who will be working as riggers and signalmen, you must be qualified, with the exception of apprentices who may rig and signal only under the direct supervision of a qualified rigger or signalman. Let me address something that should go without saying but needs to be stated clearly. All employees are expected to arrive at work fit for duty. If for some reason you have an issue that you feel diminishes your ability to perform your work safely, whether that's illness, fatigue, medication side effects, or personal stress, you are expected to inform your supervisor immediately. We can't help you if we don't know there's a problem. Spotters, also known as signal persons, play a critical and potentially life-saving role in crane operations, equipment movements, and other activities where the operator's view is obstructed. A good spotter can prevent accidents. A distracted or unqualified spotter can contribute to disaster. As we discussed in the crane section, only qualified signalmen may give signals to crane operators. Qualification means the person has been trained and evaluated on the proper use of hand signals, voice signals, and the specific requirements of the equipment being operated. Apprentices may signal under the direct supervision of a qualified signalman. The spotter must position themselves where they have a clear view of both the load and the operator. If direct line of sight is not possible, radio communication must be used, and even then, the spotter must be positioned to see the load and the path of travel clearly. The spotter must wear high-visibility clothing so the operator can see them easily. The spotter is the operator's eyes. The operator is relying on the spotter to tell them where to go, when to stop, and when there is danger. This is an enormous responsibility. The spotter must remain focused at all times. No distractions, no side conversations, no looking at your phone. Your attention must be on the load, the equipment, the operator, and the surrounding area. Hand signals must be clear and distinct. Use the standard signals outlined in OSHA regulations and the crane manufacturer's operating manual. Do not make up your own signals. If the operator does not understand your signal, or if there is any confusion, stop the operation and clarify. Radio communication must be clear and professional. Use simple, direct language. Confirm that the operator understands your instructions. If there is any doubt, stop and repeat. The spotter must watch for hazards that the operator cannot see. Pedestrians in the path of travel, overhead obstructions, ground hazards, proximity to power lines, and any other dangers. If a hazard is identified, the spotter must immediately signal the operator to stop. Anyone can give an emergency stop signal. If you see imminent danger, signal stop immediately, even if you are not the designated spotter. A raised arm or a loud shout can save a life. When equipment is being backed up or moved in reverse, a spotter is often required because the operator's visibility is limited. The spotter must stay in a position where the operator can see them and where the spotter can see the path of travel. Never position yourself where you could be crushed between the equipment and an object. The spotter must also be aware of their own safety. Stay clear of loads, suspended loads, moving equipment, and pinch points. Wear all required PPE, including hard hat, safety glasses, high-visibility vest, and steel-toed boots if required. Communication between the operator and the spotter must be continuous. If the spotter needs to leave their position or if communication is lost, the operation must stop immediately. Being a spotter requires focus, training, and a strong sense of responsibility. You are not just helping, you are protecting lives. Take your role seriously every single time. We have covered a great deal of information in this orientation. Fall protection, aerial boom lifts, scissor lifts, forklifts, cranes, spotters, housekeeping, hazard communication. Each of these topics represents a serious hazard that you will encounter on Bennett Steel job sites. Each requires your attention, your training, and your commitment to safety. This orientation is just a minimum amount of information provided to new employees so they may begin work safely. All regulations and policies should be read by you, the employee. If you have any questions or need any additional training, you need to inform your supervisor or the safety department immediately. Remember, safety is the top priority at Bennett Steel. We work together to eliminate accidents. Your productivity and craftsmanship depend on your safety and health. You must work as hard at accident prevention as you do at your craft. Safe work behavior is a required part of your job description. You are responsible for your safety and for the safety of those working around you. Bennett Steel wants each employee to leave the work site each day injury-free. That is our goal, and we need your full commitment to achieve it. Thank you for your time and attention during this orientation. Welcome to Bennett Steel. Let's build safely, together.